You've come to visit the Assessment Investigation Services. I hear you need evidence of student learning. Well, you came to the right place. I think I can help you. Let me tell you a little bit about our approach. There are 4 key principles I use with all my clients. First, no one-size-fits-all. What works for assessment in one program, in one context, may not work at all in another. You have to find the fit between the context of the program and the assessment approach. Fit is important, like a good hat, or a glove, or a trench coat. And assessment will look a little bit different depending on the level that it targets. Institutional assessment is different than degree program assessment, is different than course assessment, and is different than the assessment you would do in a lesson. For instance, degree program assessment. The focus is on program-level student learning outcomes and on using results to improve the program. You can use classroom-based assessment for degree program assessment purposes. However, it will have to be modified in the sense that it should emphasize degree program learning outcomes, and results need to be shared and discussed at the program level. 2. Assessment should be manageable, meaningful, and reasonable. Don't try to assess everything all the time. Many of my clients insist on the following strategies to keep assessment manageable. Use sampling if appropriate. Use technology tools to simplify data collection. Use existing assignments or projects if possible. Ideally, they would represent students' best work, would be near the end of the program, allow students to demonstrate achievement of the program level student learning outcomes, and can be collected and discussed by the program level. It's definitely important to keep assessment as simple as you can make it. In terms of being meaningful, people often ask me if their assessment project has to be quantitative. The answer is no, as long as the results are meaningful and the approach is sufficiently rigorous and focuses on student learning or development. Ideally, multiple assessment methods should be used. While it's important to keep assessment manageable, it's also important to make sure that it's not so simple that it's not meaningful. That is to say, will anyone believe your results? Will this evidence be upheld by the court? Would a jury find it convincing? If not, then you need to take some steps to bolster the quality of your assessment approach. One of the key principles for keeping assessment meaningful is to pay attention to data quality. And that's principle number 3. 3. Pay attention to data quality. Assessment does not have to be publishable research quality work, but issues of validity and reliability are still important to the extent that the data will inform decision making. That is to say, if the decision you're making with your data has few potential consequences, then less evidence of reliability and validity is needed. But if the decision has higher consequences, for the program or for the student, then more evidence of validity and reliability is needed. Most of our work falls between these 2 endpoints in assessment, so use your professional judgment. In my years as an assessment scene investigator, I've seen it all. Here are some common quality issues that I see often. For example, using your own survey questions without testing them out or evaluating their quality. If possible, you'd be better off using an existing scale. Another common issue is using course grades. Grades are not bad, but they often include a range of items such as class participation and attendance. And grades do not provide us with information about students' areas of strength and weakness relative to the learning outcomes. They tell us about a course instead, not about the program learning outcomes. Another common issue is using a rubric without training the raters. Rubrics are great tools and I highly recommend them. But ideally, those who are using the rubric would practice together to ensure they're scoring the samples of student work in the same way. One final data quality issue is having data that don't address the learning outcomes or the question of interest. This happens more than you'd think. Which brings us to 4. Answer the question. The best assessment answers the question that was asked about the learning. If you don't have a question, well, you better go back to one of the earlier presentations to get one. Let me share a few examples from my highly satisfied clients. And note that these are just to get your ideas flowing. Let's consider a hypothetical bachelor's degree program in leadership studies. They have a capstone course, and in that course the students work in small groups on a leadership project in collaboration with a local community service agency. Students do a group presentation to the community group and individual paper reports. The presentations are assessed by a panel that includes agency members, students, and the instructor. And the final papers are evaluated by the instructor for grades and by the program's assessment committee using a critical thinking rubric. Next, let's look at a hypothetical master's degree program in film design. In this program, students create film design projects throughout their degree program. These projects are stored in online portfolios that are regularly assessed along the way by the student's advisor. When the student prepares to graduate, the portfolio is evaluated by the student's graduate committee, who has a set of rubrics that are designed to assess the student's achievement of the program's learning outcomes. This final example is a hypothetical doctoral program in robotics design. This has two components: assessment of the student's dissertation defense and the dissertation itself using rubrics, in addition to the student's advisor referring back to her notes on the areas in which the student needed the most assistance in being ready to complete the program. So, I hope you're happy you came into my office today. Just remember these key things: no one size fits all. Keep it manageable, meaningful, and reasonable. Pay attention to data quality, and answer the assessment question. I hope this helped. I've had some hard cases in my time, but you make them all look like putty.